if you work outside Uganda, if you travel for any reason, including medication, if you trade outside Uganda, if you live and work abroad, if you work for corporations, companies, entities which are foreign, including MTN, Airtel, Daily Monitor, NTV, including the oil companies, Sunok, and the oil companies working in Hoima, including law firms that are registered in Europe, other parts of Africa, including representing, for example, Kenyans or a Kenyan business. Banks, all banks in Uganda are foreign except Pride Africa and former Post Bank. All the other, if you work in Stanbic, Barclays, you are a foreign agent. If you work in, for example, Bireete, these international companies, World Food Program, if you work for the UN, you are a foreign agent. If you work in the East African community, you are a foreign agent. If you buy onions, because most of the onions in our market and tomatoes come from Kenya, if you are engaged in taking pineapples to Kenya and coming back with tomatoes, you are a foreign agent. So that's how broad and extremely dangerous this law is. And who is an agent then of a foreigner? If, for example, our old parents who are taken care of by their children working abroad, and it's important to note that more than 1 million Ugandans are working abroad because of lack of employment opportunities in Uganda. And the law focuses on the recipient of support from outside Uganda. You need to register as a foreign agent, and that you have not gotten a license of the Minister of Internal Affairs. You can be fined money amounting to 2 billion shillings, or you can be imprisoned for up to 20 years for receiving money illegally from outside Uganda. A musician going to London to perform, like I saw many musicians, including Juliana, performing in London over Easter holidays, they will need to register as foreign agents. All these categories of people need to register. So you can imagine the absurdity that this law seeks to create in terms of, this country. If you want to do business or push through a legislation, it is anchored on fear-mongering. Fear-mongering to create dubious activities like the digital number plates. That business was anchored on fear. If you look at the other businesses that are cherished from government, you have to craft you pitch your business idea based on fear-mongering factor, or using fear as a trademark to shortchange citizens. So you find that this law is anchored in that culture of legislating, with a hindsight of fear of citizens and in a bid to control power. So we don't know what these NRM people faced with, met or encountered in the campaign trail to come up with such unconstitutional and unheard of law that seeks to shield, themselves against the sovereign rights of Ugandans, as they hide behind, branding a law as a shield against sovereign interference. So this law seeks to tilt sovereignty of the people, and the government becomes the sovereign, where the people will need to seek permission to trade or participate in their governance. If you want to trade, transact, be employed, or go to study and work, Your relatives have to register because you are a foreign agent.